Welcome to another episode of NFL News on the Boom and Bust channel. I'm your host, Terry, and today I want to talk about some of the NFL narratives that I hate. And I mean narratives, obviously I'm talking about coming out of sports media. That's where these things start, and then fans pick it up. A lot of fans that don't actually watch or know much football. But these things are just annoying to me, and I'll admit two things up front. Some of the stuff is, or one of these is pretty small. And some of the stuff is, I wouldn't say nitpicky, like that's a negative thing. It's just my own personal preference. It doesn't affect the game, so to speak, but it's annoying. And two, I understand that these people are journalists. When you talk about the media, that's their area. They are trained to make things more colorful and more cinematic and, poetic than it actually is. That's their background. So I get that part. But still, that doesn't excuse some of the very just annoying things that come out, and also how it really undermines some of the football IQ of fans and some of the game too, when people just say things because for whatever reason, sports media has the platform where people listen to them like they actually know football, and they say some stuff that is just not even close to being substantive or even being correct. So, but anyway, these are just three, and I'm sure I'll have more that I'll probably continue to talk about. But for now, these are the narratives that I hate. Number one, on the top of everybody's mind, OBJ is washed up. This is a absolutely ridiculous narrative. Now, I said this, I think 2 weeks ago, something like that. I don't even remember. Before all this was happening, I was just seeing some people talking about it, and I've watched a little bit of OBJ when he played the Bears this year, and some other games I've seen him. But in general, I was like, man, for me at least, since he left New York, I was like, man, I can't wait till OBJ get, back out there and playing healthy. Like, he's a monster. But then it kind of threw me off when I saw a bunch of people saying how he was trash and he was washed. I even had this conversation before the season with a friend. I'm like, wait, how is he washed up? Like, we haven't seen him play. He's been hurt. And everybody's like, that's the thing. Just because you're hurt doesn't mean you're washed up. Now, this is another pseudo narrative on the side, but that annoys me too. This idea that, oh, well, you're hurt, so you suck. What? What are you talking about? A player doesn't, to my knowledge, control that they get hurt or want to be hurt. Not many times have I seen a player say, I would like to be injured. And so I never understood that. It makes zero sense to me. Being hurt is part of football, and it's not something that you typically can control. And that just because you hurt doesn't mean that you can't play football. Like, seriously, like, people get these things confused when we're talking about good players. Most of these fans will sit here and talk about stats, which is a very small part of the story. What you really should be focusing on, what I always do when I do draft and when I look at players, is you're talking about physical attributes, positional skills and technique, and then you're talking about football IQ. Those are the three things we talking about. Those are the big things. And then within that, you got to look at the context that the person plays in. Otherwise, this is why you get people thinking someone's great, then they go to another team or whatever, and then they look completely different. So those are the main things. The stats is very little. So to sit here and say, and I get availability is the best ability. I get that saying, and I understand the sentiment behind it. But looking at all that, to sit here and say that even at 75%, OBJ is one of the most athletic receivers in the game. His route running, his catch radius, his ball skills, all of those together are at the top of the league. So I don't care if he sat down for 4 years. Like, the man has those abilities. And then the football IQ, which for receivers, isn't needed as much, but and you've seen that he knows how to work the field. He knows how to work leverage and how to get open. And so to sit here and try to say that he's washed is crazy to me. Like, there's always going to be a time where people fall off with their physical ability as they get older, or if they got hurt to a point where they can't do what they used to do. And from what we've heard and seen, that's not really the case with Odell, where he completely sacrificed his athleticism. But even as you lose your athleticism, receivers and other positions that know their craft well and can still be effective. So to sit here and act like OBJ can't play because he's not getting the ball thrown to him at a volume, or the passes that he are receiving aren't that great, like, it's crazy to me. So then this video comes out. So now the narrative is starting to shift. But before the video was out for 2 weeks, by the way, no one cared about it. And then now it's a big thing. And so now the narrative is starting to shift, and people are starting to favorably look at OBJ. And it just shows me what I've already known and what I've said for many times. People don't really watch film. They don't really watch football. And the ones that don't, they go with these narratives because they might have seen a highlight or two, and then they hear people on TV saying it, so they just repeat it. Was literally going back and forth with this person yesterday who was who right off the bat was like, why do I need to watch film? And I'm like, okay, well, at this point, whatever this person is about to say is about to be about OBJ's personality and whatever, and a couple highlight points and nothing else. And that's exactly what it was. It was, oh, he's a diva. He cried to get out of New York. Oh, he didn't want to go up and catch across the middle. And I'm like, okay, bro, we really, like, we gonna get to anything like actual besides these narrative points that you got? First, him leaving New York and him, whatever outside of football. Okay, cool. What does that have to do with him being washed up? Watch the film. The man can actually play football. That's what we're talking about. And so, again, you got people that don't watch film and that really sit here and try to just ride these narratives. So we've been hearing it for a while. We know that OBJ hasn't had the chemistry and the rhythm in Cleveland, and that it has not worked out to the extent that they wanted it to. But to sit here and try to question whether OBJ can play football is just silly to me. It's absolutely. And this is a great highlight of how a lot of casual fans are. Because you sit here, look at these stats in Cleveland. He sucks. What? You know how football works? You do know that you can't throw the ball to yourself every play. Like, that's not how that, we know Odell got an arm, but that's not how that works. And so to sit here and ignore all the context and just say OBJ is trash, it, to me, means you got an issue with OBJ personally, and that don't really have much to do with football. Also, free OBJ. And so, yeah, they're at that point now. I don't know what's going to happen. I think Cleveland is going to be pushing to get him to buy out his contract, if I had to guess, or buy out a part of it, because they don't want to pay. Now, from what they're saying, that if he goes through waivers, they won't have to pay, but so I don't know what's going on exactly, but it's a weird situation. All right, second narrative. The quarterback stuff. I can't stand it. This year, for whatever reason, and we've heard it many times before, but this year it is like all the time. This narrative that quarterbacks versus quarterbacks, and talking as if they're actually playing each other every week, whatever it is, undisputed, first take, whatever. Especially when they're arguing back for, well, Tom Brady got beat by Trevor Siemian. oh, well, Aaron Rodgers beat Kyler Murray. What are you talking about? Like, that annoys me. It always has annoyed me when they'll be like, for promotion, it's Peyton Manning versus Tom Brady tonight. I'm like, okay, I get it, you know, promotion, but like literally they're not facing each other. They don't play defense. But now it's gone from just like a title, promotional thing to actual discussion narrative that people use every single day when talking about games. Like, bro, what do you know? The quarterbacks are playing against a defense. They don't play the other quarterback. And yes, I will give you the small caveat that if a quarterback is leading the team up and down the field and putting up points, that might put pressure on the other quarterback to have to respond with enough points. But even with that being said and acknowledged, it's still not the same thing. Quarterbacks are not playing each other. And again, these narratives bleed into the fan conversations where people actually talk like this. Like, that literally has nothing to do with anything. I saw these people arguing about Tom Brady as usual, and they were talking about his Super Bowls. Oh, well, he got beat by Nick Foles and whatever. Why does it matter? What does it matter if Nick Foles or the third string quarterback or the eighth string quarterback or a high school quarterback was playing and beat the defense? Tom Brady does not play on defense. Like, what are you talking about? They don't have anything to do with each other. Like, if you lead your team down for a touchdown, then your defense has to go out and, you know, play the next series. If you turn the ball over, then your defense is going to have to play on a short field more than likely. If you get a turnover on down, same thing. Like, the quarterback don't have to go out there and do anything. They might have set it up, but they don't have to go out there and do it. That is the defense's job. So to sit here and keep doing this quarterback versus quarterback narrative is so annoying. Oh, well, he beat this quarterback. No, he didn't. Like, first of all, it's a team game. Number one, that's always why it's problematic to single out these one players. But even if you were to say, okay, it's Jalen Ramsey versus DeAndre Hopkins today. Okay, cool. I mean, again, it's a team game, but yes, those two are directly going head to head. And then you sit here and go, well, Kyler Murray beat Matt Stafford, or, oh, he got beat, especially when it's a lower quarterback. Oh, he got beat by Ryan Tannehill. Like, no, he did not. He got beat by Ryan Tannehill's teammates. Like, it's just, it is obviously, again, somewhat semantics, but really it does create this subconscious idea that pushes this narrative about quarterbacks being the only thing on the field, and it's annoying to me. And then the last thing, which I know is very small, but I hate how they talk about Derrick Henry. And don't get me wrong, I love Derrick Henry. I was a huge Derrick Henry fan coming out the draft as a prospect. I was shocked that he didn't get more love, but so trust me, I know Derrick Henry well as a football player, but I do not, I don't understand, like, and again, this is the journalism, but they talk all these adjectives and colorful, like, headlines to act like Derrick Henry is some freight train that runs through everybody and you're going to get destroyed. Like, yes, he has a nasty stiff arm. Yes, he's really built angular, but he's a big dude and he has a lot of force coming downhill. But, like, let's be honest. I'm sure Titans fans know, if you watch them, you can tackle him very easily. Like, everybody's like, oh, you need to go 4 or 5 guys. The whole team needs to come tackling. No, you don't. I've seen everybody tackle him. Slot corners, obviously defensive linemen by themselves, safeties. He's actually not hard to tackle. I don't quite understand why this happens in football a lot. It happens in rugby too as well for bad tacklers, but people love to try to wrap up. They try to thud up. Like, this ain't practice. This ain't a bag. You try to thud up with Henry, then yes, you're going to have an issue. But if you actually tackle like you're supposed to, if you actually like put the head on the hip and you wrap up the legs, he goes down really easily. That's all I'm saying. Now, I get it. They're being journalistic. They're making it seem all cool in the commercials and all that. He's a big monster. He destroys everything. But it's just like, it does, again, affect other people, because, like, I'll be talking to people and they really talk. Like, we got into this argument last year because I was like, yeah, I could definitely tackle Derrick Henry, and everybody's going nuts. You couldn't tackle Derrick Henry. I'm like, look, I'm not talking about like no open field, like try to catch him type thing. I'm talking about like, yeah, if we met in the hole, I could tackle Derrick Henry like that. Yeah, 100%. Oh, you couldn't tackle, you crazy. And I'm like, bro, like I've said before, I played rugby for years. You know how big these dudes are that I've tackled before? Are you serious? Now, I know they're not the athlete that Derrick Henry is, but, bro, the mechanics are the same. Not to mention, I'm a big dude. I'm way bigger than Derrick Henry. Like, I could 100% tackle Derrick Henry. I've seen corners tackle Derrick Henry. He actually does not do much when you contact him at the line or at 1 yard. Obviously, he's got a great breakaway speed. And like I said, if you try to thud him up, then yeah, you're gonna get bodied. But come on, like he's not an unstoppable tackle machine. And again, that's no hate to Derrick Henry. I know he's hurt, and I've been always thought this. I just figured I'd throw that on there. So anyway, that's it for me. Those are the narratives that I hate. Go down comment section, let me know what you think. Share it around, get the conversation started. Thumbs up, subscribe, and thank you for listening.